Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Gaming with me, Tony Mo, and we're here today to talk about Titanfall 2's multiplayer for one last time. This is the final weekend for the Titanfall 2 multiplayer tech test, and Respawn has showed up and definitely impressed. They've actually managed to push an entirely new build for us to play through certification, which is not an easy thing to do when you're launching a patch on the console side of things, in just 1 week. That is absolute dedication to your product, into your community, and that's a really, really great way to start off. It's just a really great way to start off, man. The game's not even out yet, and they're already, impressing people. They're already making people happy. They're already listening to the community, and they're also showing, though, their strengths as a developer by standing their ground on some of the features that they've implemented into Titanfall 2's multiplayer, and I'm very happy about this. We're going to talk about all of that, but I also want to talk about the new map that they introduced this weekend, which you're seeing a match of Bounty Hunt on, called Forward Base Kodai. It's the largest map that we've seen in the tech test. No doubt it'll be one of the larger maps in the game's full release, and it's freaking awesome. I think it's an incredible example of Respawn's environmental and map design ability, because building multiplayer maps is difficult. There's no doubt about that. But I think it's inherently more difficult to build a multiplayer map for a game where you give the player excessive mobility options, and then you also have really big giant titans walking around. So you have to create an even balance between the playing ground for titans and pilots, and you also have to make sure that there are risk and reward areas of the map for both sides. So in the case of Forward Base Kodai, we've got more open, outdoorsy areas that make it easier for Titans to see players coming, and then we've got more tight-knit indoor areas that make it more difficult for Titans to see players coming. And of course, the opposite of that is an area where it's more difficult for pilots to traverse while Titans are on the battlefield, and the tighter areas are great ambush points for pilots who would like to take down a Titan that's using a bit of a risk-reward to try and get from one side of the map to the other. So just a really great piece of game design. I love the layout. I love the overall design of it. It works incredibly well inside of Bounty Hunt. One of my favorite maps in the tech test, hands down. I think this is going to be a memorable one. And a part of that is its design. It's a beautiful map. Just this really odd, outdoorsy, integrated sort of base of operations type feel to it. We've got a wonderful skybox in the distance. There's some great layers of fog floating across the entire map. I love the structural design. It's just really cool, it feels really unique, and it kind of feels like the map that could tell a story, like there's a reason that this base exists. There's a reason that this certain faction was here. Just lots of great pieces of design in this map, and it goes down to the details too. There's a lot of smaller rock emplacements that make great pieces of cover for the AI as well as for pilots while trying to navigate on the battlefield, maybe hiding from Titans. Exceptional piece of map design. Easily my favorite map inside of the tech test. Now, I did say that Respawn went ahead and pushed an entirely new build into the tech test this weekend. Well, why did they do that? Well, because they wanted to implement a slew of changes to the core gameplay experience. They've listened to the community, they've looked at statistics, and they've implemented a bunch of new changes. So let's talk about those changes. Number one, let's talk about movement speed. Let's talk about player mobility speed. This is something that a lot of people were really criticizing the first time around. People saying the game was too slow, so on and so forth. Now, I already demonstrated that a big part of it was the way that they made wall running and mobility a little bit more difficult. They made it more challenging to maintain your maximum momentum. So they've done some things to mitigate that difficulty. They've increased acceleration while jumping off of walls, and they've also increased the player's maximum speed and acceleration while actually wall running, meaning that you can go faster, quicker. It's a more accessible mechanic, and I completely agree with this decision. As much as I liked the more challenging layers of the wall running in the first weekend's tech test, it was definitely difficult to get up to really fast speeds. And when I play a map like Forward Base Kodai, I can just see even myself struggling and a lot of other players struggling, and that really stripping a lot of the fun out of what is otherwise an amazing mechanic in TF2. A lot of the new features still exist. There's still that sense of player weight. You still do have to work on building up your momentum, but like I said, it's a little bit more accessible now, and I think that's a positive for everyone. So really great decisions. I like how nuanced they made those changes. It wasn't just like, let's make the pilot faster. They were really specific about where they introduced those boosts to player speed, and it's definitely for the better. Now, another thing that a lot of people were worried about was how you were earning your Titan. So in the first weekend of the tech test, it was all about earning scores. So getting hits on AI, getting hit on other players, all these things would boost your Titan's recharge rate. They've now also added a small layer of timed recharge. So you're going to earn percentage of your Titan build just over time, much like you did in Titanfall 1. It's a small piece of that, and it's still combined with the score system, but it led to some really amazing results here in Weekend 2. I'm really actually happy about this. You know, as much as I was okay with the rate in the first game, I can fully understand how a player who isn't racking up as many kills, or who even isn't able to farm as much in a mode like Bounty Hunt, could struggle to get their Titan. The end result in Weekend 1 was that there was a lot of instances where the matches felt really one-sided. You'd get the teams where there were obviously more skilled players getting their Titans all at the same time while the other team had 1 or 2 Titans on the battlefield. No one likes an unfair fight. I've always said, and I'll say it again, I'd rather lose 1,000 matches to ridiculously close losses than win 10,000 matches by complete and utter blowout. No one wants these big pushover matches. We want close fights. We want Titan on Titan team battles. And that's exactly what this increase in recharge rate has given. There have been way more close matches for me this weekend. There's been a hell of a lot more Titan on Titan battles, and there have been far less instances where it feels like my team or the other team is being completely overwhelmed by a mass charge of Titans while they're still stuck on foot as pilots. So I think it was a great tweak. Maybe they'll tweak it further, but I like what I've seen so far. Definitely a nice change to the overall experience. And as many people pointed out, and I fully agree, Titanfall isn't Titanfall without the damn Titans. So kudos to them. Now, one of the things that Respawn stood their grounds on in their patch note is the introduction of the battery mechanic. Of course, this is combined with the new rodeo system, which now means you have to rodeo a Titan twice to deal the maximum amount of potential damage. But the first time, you'll remove a battery. That battery can be put back into that Titan to recharge their shields. It can be put into other Titans to recharge their shields. It's a mechanic that Respawn absolutely has faith in, and they think it's going to add long run to the overall gameplay experience, and I completely agree. I really like it already in the tech test. I think there's an incredible level of reward and satisfaction from charging your friendly, teammate's Titan back up. Like, you see him in battle, he just got out of a really close call. Knowing that you can grab a battery and help him stay in the fight even longer and, possibly win the match for your team. That's a really high level of satisfaction, especially if you're someone who maybe likes to spend more time on foot. I can already see a build in my head that's like purely built on supporting your other Titans on your team. Maybe enhanced Titan AI, so you don't actually spend that much time inside of your Titan, and you spend a lot more time on the ground grabbing batteries, recharging your teammates, recharging your own Titan. That would just be wicked cool. I think it's a nice layer of depth that has been added to the game, and I think it's going to be awesome once people wrap their heads around it. The only thing that I hope they do is in the tutorial that everyone plays day one when Titanfall 2 goes live, make sure that you mention how important the battery can actually be. Once everybody understands the purpose of the batteries, I think a lot more people will be willing to use that. People like to help their teammates out. And when you can see that and have a sort of instant reward element, like boom, that guy's Titan is now more powerful and more survivable. I think a lot of people are going to be into that. So really happy about them sticking to their guns. Respawn isn't, some new kid on the block. These are a bunch of hardcore developers. When they have a piece of design, when they have something that they're envisioning, they're able to look past community feedback and say, guys, this is Titanfall 2. This isn't Titanfall 1. We want to build a new experience. We want to add to what already existed. You'll wrap your head around it eventually. I like that. I think we live in an age where it's all too often that a developer gets caught up in that community feedback and they don't know when to draw the line and say, there's nothing actually wrong with this mechanic, you simply haven't understood it yet. And I think that's exactly what they're saying with the battery. Again, big kudos to them. All in all, the tech test has been phenomenal for me. I've got to play Titanfall 2 early. I'm in love with the changes they've made to the Titans, as I've talked about numerous times before. I can't wait to have 6 different Titans to mess with, a whole slew of abilities and weapons. It's going to be so much fun wrapping my head around all of them. It's going to be so much fun building videos for each of those different Titans. I'm really looking forward to bringing back my Titanfall loadouts series where I would make like a pilot loadout that went hand in hand with the Titan. I think it's going to be even more enjoyable now. And I'm so ready to play Titanfall 2 come launch date. I really would love to see Respawn put together an open beta at some point, get the PC people in on things. It's not like it's a requirement, but I think it's just going to make them look good. It's a good bit of marketing. It's a good gesture to the community. If they can get an open beta out before October, they've got a whole entire month, you know, to get a PC build ready, to get an Xbox and PlayStation 4 build ready, to let people play this game one more time, you know, to just let them experience it before the game's full release goes live. I think it's a great move from a marketing perspective, and hey, what's a little bit more feedback on the server end of things? A lot of people would be happy with that, and I think Respawn could definitely benefit from it. There it is, guys. The final weekend of Titanfall 2's tech test. We say goodbye to it. Let me know if you're going to be playing it this weekend. If you already have, let me know what you think of the changes. If there are any final thoughts that you want to share with me as the tech test says goodbye, feel free to throw them down in the comment section below. Once again, kudos to Respawn for sticking to your guns and for listening to the community at the exact same time. Best of luck with the remainder of the game's development. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.